So in Canada, we know that over the course of a year, when we measure the mental health of Canadians, where a year ago, 1 in 5 were impacted, it's now 1 in 4. So we've moved from 21 to 25%. That's not an insignificant shift, you know, an additional person. As importantly, how much data do you think we're missing? How many people are struggling that we wouldn't have flagged in that survey? How many people are hurting that aren't able or willing to put up their hand and say, I'm in trouble? And how many people don't even realize they're in trouble? I would have to say 1 in 5 is a gross misunderestimation. I think most, if not all of us are. And I think for me, you know, one of the reasons why it's important to look at the neurobiology of mental health and mental wellness, you know, is that it's so complicated, right? How do we define mental health? How do we even define mental wellness? And there's some great definitions out there that you know, I think resonate with some people. They don't resonate with others. I know that people struggle with the use of the word disorder, the use of the word illness. So instead, what I'd like to do is just let's look at mental health on a continuum, because we certainly know that that's really the reality. Not only is it a linear continuum, though it's extremely dynamic. And if you look at this, and this is a Canadian mental health continuum, under any one of these, the healthy, the reacting, the injured, or the ill, there are all kinds of things that are in there that you may be feeling one day to the next. There may be things in the healthy, sorry, I'm playing with my hands too much. There may be things under the healthy range of the continuum. Maybe you are feeling that you're performing well. You've got a good sense of humor. However, if you sort of shuttle over, you know, when you're at home, you are pervasively sad. You're having trouble sleeping. You've found that you're drinking a lot more than you used to, and that's troubling you a little bit. So anywhere on that continuum, any day, probably each one of you could grab a few things, almost like you're grocery shopping, and take a few things that apply from the healthy and some of the stuff that applies from the reacting, and some from the injured and some from the ill. And if you mishmash all of that together, you sit somewhere on that continuum. What I like about the idea of a continuum, it means at any day, at any moment, any person can aspire to shift a little bit more towards the positive. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter so much as, okay, here's where we're at. Let's try and understand a little bit more about what factors come into play to kind of keep you in that place, have you arrive in that place. And then more importantly, let's figure out what we can do to shift you a little bit more towards the green. Again, as I said, there's a lot that we don't know about mental health. We've come a long way in the last 30 years. Since I did my first initial paper, we've come a long way. Scientists are taking this incredibly seriously. I think as a society, we're really starting to embrace and talk about it a lot more. We're getting in front of it. We're treating it with the seriousness that we need to. And also, though, there are some things that we do definitely know. So one of the things we know, and Jamie talked about this as well, mental and physical health are inextricably linked. You can't tease them apart. So what you do for your physical health supports your mental well-being, and what you do for your mental well-being supports your physical health. This we know for sure. This is a winning message for me as far as I'm concerned, because for me, my expertise is in physical health. And so the ideas and the notions and the tasks and you know, some of the some of the things that you can do, I'm going to bring that to you today in terms of taking care of your physical health and how that is absolutely going to impact your mental health. Both are extremely dynamic. They vary from moment to moment. They vary from day to day, and they vary very much from person to person.